Right, so now we kind of have our pet store database going. We've got a table now in place, our inventory table that we've been putting together. We've got this kind of ready to go. But as you can probably imagine, when running a business like a pet store or any other business, there'll probably be more pieces of information that you'll need other than just an inventory of all your animals. The first kind of thing that came to mind to me for a pet store is it'd probably be a good thing to know when we fed all our animals or things about their their feeding, such as what kind of food they need, how much food they need, when they last ate, things like that. I assume that'd probably be information that a pet store owner would want to know. So let's go ahead and create another table. Now to do this, we go up to our Create tab here up in the ribbon, create a table, and as you know, by default, it always calls the table Table 1, but we can call that whatever we like after we save it. So let's think of this as the table that we're going to use to store information about all the pets and the feeding we do to them. So what kinds of information would we want to know about that? First thing that kind of comes into mind here is we'd want to know probably who we fed, which animal. So if we want to get a report of when they ate each day or how much they ate each day, we want to be able to know which animal we're talking about. Now, this is a good time to kind of digress back to what we talked about in prior videos. In the inventory table, we have some options as to how do I identify in our feeding table which animal we fed. We can certainly say we fed the white hamster, or we could certainly say we fed Buster, things like that. But if you think about these sorts of pieces of information, let's say we had a lot of animals, or let's say our company's had a long history, so we've had a lot of animals come through. What are the odds that we may have more than one pet that came into our pet store throughout our years named Fluffy? Odds are that might be pretty good. So that in that case, a pet's name may not be a unique identifier. So if we said we fed Fluffy on Saturday, uh, you may be saying, okay, well, was it Fluffy the cat, or was it Fluffy the parrot, or was it the Fluffy we had in the store 3 years ago, or the Fluffy we got last week? You don't have a unique identifier if you use any sort of component of data that can be reused. It's not unique. Same with the white hamster. What if we have 5 white hamsters in the store? So you kind of see where I'm going with this. That is where the ID field comes into play. This, the white hamster named Buster, born in 2016 in cage 3, this will be a unique way to identify that I fed this hamster this amount of food at Saturday on noon or what have you. So now going back to this table we're creating, the first field we'd probably be interested in storing is who did we feed? And to do that, we'll have this field be a number field that we will call, let's just call it the pet ID. So when we start entering data in this table, we can refer back to this ID field to know exactly who we fed. And what else would we want to maybe know about feeding the animals? We may have wanted to know the date, for instance, the feeding date. Let's just call it feeding date, I guess we can call it that for now. We may also want to know maybe the feed amount, like how many cups of food did we feed? We may want to know also, maybe we have a lot of staff members, so who did it? We can call it like the staff ID. Now, if you kind of see where we might be going here, this might lead us to needing another table to list all our staff members, because we can certainly say that John did the feeding maybe, but what if we now have more than one John or whatever? So this could convert into maybe another table, a staff table, where every staff member has their employee ID. And let's say for the sake of that, let's just say we're going to go that route. So I'm going to change this to a number field. Remember how you do that when you're working in tables. We'll call this table the feeding table. And let's turn this into a number. Let's say we're going to identify the staff member with their employee ID. So now you can see how we're starting to build this table. We're building a feeding table tracking how much we're feeding our animals. We're going to know which animal we fed, when did we feed them, how much did we feed them, who fed them, and we'll go from there. So in the next video, we'll talk about how we build this table out, put in the data we need, and some more information about how we relate these tables together.